It's not uncommon in the United States to find plenty of places named after the devil. Our culture is almost obsessed with devils and the paranormal, and the Devil's Pit mine is full of such paranormal activity. But before entering the mine, Murphy takes a side trip through the tram station and the living quarters of a man named J.P. Sater. The name tag is seen outside the door, his name marked out with a red line. It's a short scene that walks the player through a bathroom with a huge bloody mess, a tub marked with stains that look suspiciously self-inflicted. Before we've even met him, we've learned something huge about J.P. Sater. It's hinted at later on, when the player looks through the binoculars to see a body hanging below a platform, a place that Sater will notably leap from later. It seems clear that though we're speaking to him face to face, it's unlikely Sater is still breathing. That in fact, he's trapped in Silent Hill in a full circle, the concept that Downpour itself named through one of its endings, in which a person can't escape town despite being dead or having already traveled through the town itself. But why is Murphy made to see what happened to Sater? It won't be the last time he's confronted with a horrible crime and the person that committed it. Many of the side quests and main storyline deal with interacting with criminals. With Sater, Murphy learns about the circumstances of his crime and is given the chance to judge him, with his judgment decided by the player. Judgment is a major part of the story. He took on the role of judge when he chose to attack Napier, and while that choice is of questionable morality, Silent Hill seems to echo it, placing Murphy in the position to judge others. Halfway through the mine's level, Murphy comes across Sater standing above the pit, about to leap. The player is allowed to choose how Murphy reacts, but either way the results are the same. The importance isn't in what Sater does, but in Murphy's choice, the decision to condemn or forgive. The story is that of vengeance unchecked, how seeking revenge is a path bathed in blood that only brings about more tragedy. And Murphy's ability to see crimes and murders done by others and judge them informs his moral journey to recognize the futility of vengeance. The conversation with Sater brings up a lot of thematic elements of the game. What is morality? Is it universal and unchangeable, or is it personal and relative? Sater offers multiple viewpoints. He brings up hell, implying a universal and unchanging morality decided by a higher power, but continues, saying it's up to individuals to decide if they can live with what they've done, a more relative philosophy. As for Murphy, he replies that he's done terrible things but at least never hurt children, a crime that to him is simply unforgivable, a hint as to what's happened in his past. It seems that to Murphy, both kinds of morality exist, that sometimes things are just wrong, no matter what, but other crimes might be understandable in certain circumstances. This mindset exonerates Murphy and condemns both Sater and Napier, that hurting children is never okay, but sometimes murder is understandable. This is the start of the deeper exploration of morality the game will dive into, and while it brings up many questions, it offers no concrete answers. The game allows Murphy to explore his own definition of morality to answer the questions provided, and the statement the game makes about morality comes from showing how Murphy's realizations lead him to heaven or hell, so to speak, in the various endings. Within the mines, Murphy also runs into Anne. Up until that moment, Murphy was the judge, but here the situation reverses. Anne becomes the judge and Murphy the condemned, to the point that she has him kneel in an execution position. She's unable to go through with it, but it ties in darkly to Sater and Murphy's condemnation of him. Only a little earlier in the game, Murphy found a body tied to an electric box. The corpse was tied up in an almost religious position, killed with electricity, similar to how criminals on death row are killed by the electric chair. The associations with guilt and punishment, as well as the contents of the poem found on the body, seem to say that this represents Sater, and now shortly after it's Murphy in an execution pose, being associated with the guilt of criminality. Is he really as forgivable as he claims to be? Anne doesn't seem to think so, but the player won't find out why until later in the game. The only way to exit the mine is to solve the Devil's Pit riddle. No matter the difficulty level, it involves a poem, which lists various colors in a certain order. The player must decipher the order and then choose the right color buttons in the right order to start the train. The poem itself is likely written by a child as a school assignment, possibly one of the children killed in the accident. This would certainly explain the eerie laughter of children in the mine, specifically when Murphy picks up notes about the accident. The riddle always includes the color red, and in 2 versions the red is blood. In one of the poems, it actually refers to the man who drove the train, implying the poem was written by one of the children that died, giving a dark connotation to the blood being mentioned. The hard level poem heavily implies that not only did one of the children write the poem, but in fact, the children cry for blood, seeking revenge. The same poem ends with Toluca's subterranean claws seek blood, always blood, referring to the infamous lake of the town. Given the importance of the theme of water in the game, it's an interesting connection, implying that all the water in this level is from the lake, a place we already know has been full of dead bodies and tragedy in previous games. It also possibly hints as to what killed the children. Perhaps the train wrecked in Toluca's claws and drowned them. Solving the riddle starts the train, the very one the children rode. The ride Murphy takes is just as dangerous, if not as deadly. Monsters attack him, the train reaches dangerous speeds, and horrific visions overtake him while he rides through the mines. The exhibits present in the mines are dark and eerie even without the power of the town. Caves are simply not inviting to most humans, especially not young children. Did the children on the ride mistake the mining exhibit as dark figures about to attack them? Did they see wild animals and bats as giant monsters out to get them? Did these visions influence Silent Hill's presentation of the area? It's possible, especially since the riddle itself and the train ride are so heavily associated with these kids. The strangest monster in the mine is a giant face at the end of the ride. The face knows Murphy's name. The flesh pulled by train tracks. It asks Murphy if he enjoyed the ride, something the train driver would have asked the children. He appears at the end of the ride, just as Sator would have, and Sator's life was heavily tied into this ride. So perhaps his dead spirit is trapped here in some monstrous form. Perhaps this face is J.P. Sator. Skeletons in the Rain is a fast-paced, pulse-pounding thriller about a former priest who has to uncover the secret identity of a deadly gang leader while confronting his own past. After the death of someone he loved very much, local priest Ishmael Neighbor has vowed to leave the accursed town of San Isidro for good. But the Skulls, a dangerous gang, and their leader the Mime King have other plans for him. They stalk him day and night, asking the same terrifying question: who? Desperate to escape, the priest soon realizes he needs the help of an old friend who he hasn't spoken to in years, Abraham Perez, the chief of police. The problem is that Ishmael and Abe share more than a broken friendship. A dark secret lies between them, a secret that could get everyone they care about killed. This book is available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback formats in Spanish and English.